finances at home.
The end.
Take care of what things?
Natural human urges.
Like pooping?
Boobs or ass?
Ass.
Really? First time you had sex with him. Oh, this is so much better. Come into the screen.
Yeah?
Okay, there is an explanation for Donovan's ridiculous 瞎子阿炳 look. He actually has a cornea infection. Show them.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Maybe you can put this foot over here too. Nope. Nope.
That's super
This
cool.
stuff is not
This is basic physics.
Okay, fine. We're back here. We're back here. This is like our first couples Q&A, right? Finally, you're
You're covering my face when you...
Finally, you're in Singapore a bit long enough, so we can do like a proper Q&A.
I got nothing to worry about when you're by my side.
I'm gonna thank Babo Botanicals for sponsoring this episode. Sebastian, look, what are we using? What does this say? Sensitive baby double bath. See?
Wow.
I thought you mean the bowl.
然后这个是
蛮怪写的。
洗头的。那
What?
There was a time when you had really red skin. Do you remember? You don't remember?
I didn't know people can have red skin.
Yeah, because your skin and Daddy's skin are both prone to eczema, so mommy had to go find some like chemical-free stuff.
Smell it.
So nice. Sulfate-free, pediatrician tested, steroid-free, dermatologist tested, gluten, soy and dairy-free, paraben and phthalate-free, hypoallergenic, allergy tested, cruelty-free. That means they don't test on animals. Okay, 你先。啊 Kiki， 哎，Kiki 不要吸。Shampoo 吗？
No, I want the bubble.
The other product that I use a lot of is their Tinted Sunscreen Moisturizer. So like in Singapore, you absolutely have to wear SPF like all year round. A lot of times in the mornings, I'm super lazy. So this sunscreen actually combines the SPF with tiny bit of sheer coverage, just enough for me to look refreshed. So that has been my go-to. I think as a parent, like knowing that your kid's health is properly taken care of is like obviously super important. They also source from like sustainable organic farms all over the world. So for example, and this is the Eucalyptus Remedy plant-based bubble bath. Like the eucalyptus, they actually source it from sustainable farms in Australia. There's also this app called Think Dirty, I'll link it here, and it will actually give you a score for the brand and the product that you're using because it goes through the entire ingredient list to tell you what's in there. This company scores extremely highly on that app. Okay, first question. Why are you so big on Instagram? Actually, people don't really know what you do. I mean, you're sort of like just the ad hoc random husband who shows up once in a while and dances and like whatever.
Yeah, I'm not that big on Instagram. I haven't posted like in a year, but I used to work at Xiaomi and help launch Xiaomi products globally. A lot of fans around the world in India, Indonesia, Europe were all super interested in Xiaomi products. Smartphones and rice cookers and...
But basically ever since he left Xiaomi, it's like he doesn't post anymore. I think there's a point when people thought like you are the ultimate attention hogger because you're like on social media all the time. That was really his job. If left to his own devices, he's actually a complete nerd. 就你们知道吗？他就是一个完全的直男理工男，但是他有一些特征又是特别不理工，比如说他跳舞啊，就看起来好像很外向，他需要有上台的人的需求，所以可能大家误以为说他是一个很爱在台前的人。他也爱在台前呢，但是
偶尔的，
算是非常深思熟虑的人。What are our Myers Briggs? ENFP.
Yeah.
And he is ENTJ.
Yeah.
I used to be ESFP. If you don't know about it, it like splits human personalities into like 16 different traits. Extrovert or introvert, intuitive or sensing.
Yeah.
You go.
Thinking or feeling, perceiving or judging.
There's 16 categories of people. ENFP is typically called the campaigner, someone who likes big ideas and likes sharing it with people, and that's me. Like perfect example of the influencer. Whereas Donovan being ENTJ is what? What are you?
I remember George Bush was the ENTJ.
Gosh. The commander? What?
Yeah.
They are decisive people who love momentum? This shit is broken. You need to retake that test.
In general, most people think Myers Briggs is BS anyway.
What's the other one?
Strengths Finder.
Like another really popular career tool. You guys did it when you like first started Google, right? Just list like your top 5 strengths. Like
I don't remember much else.
oh, for me it was strategic, woo, and command were my top 3.
Yeah.
I apply a strategic way of thinking to like every type of career that I do, right? Be it banking or fashion and then starting YouTube as well. I approach everything from a strategy point of view. Once I have the strategy, then I figure out what are the steps to achieve my goals. And then woo is like you're good at making people like you. Command is like you're not afraid to take control of any situation. You're a natural leader, which is clearly true in this relationship. You're incredibly uncomfortable.
Switch right later, yeah. There's like, we did this like, where did Donovan grow up? I grew up in Los Angeles, in California, LA, SF, and New York. And I moved to China for the first time when in my late 20s.
I would say you're a pretty typical ABC until you went to China, like age 29, right? Some of you know this, some of you don't. I was born in Hong Kong to parents who were from mainland China, from Fujian. And we moved to Singapore when I was 7, and I studied in Singapore until after high school. I moved to the US when I was 18 and was in the US for like 10-12 years before moving to China with Donovan. How many jobs have we had out of school?
I don't know, how many of you have?
I've had a very atypical, untraditional career path, so
Yeah.
let's start with you. Yours is easy.
I took like 8 months off of school to work at IBM as an intern. Then I went to Microsoft as an intern. Then I went to Google out of college. And, joined YouTube. Then I went to Spotify in New York. Then I went to Xiaomi for a few years. I came to Google in Singapore again. Microsoft in Shanghai.
Do you think it's easier or harder for Asians to succeed in Silicon Valley?
Depends on what you mean by to succeed. I would say there have historically been less of them in like the highest levels of management. Asian Americans, maybe we're taught when we're grown up, we tend to have more of like a Asian upbringing, just keeping your head down, maybe not speaking up as much.
Yeah.
I think American corporate culture definitely rewards extroverts in general.
Yeah, for sure. In general, I feel like American corporate culture, including like banking, a lot of it is about self-marketing. Asians just feel like to talk about what you've done is bragging, and that's a bad thing. And I think we all have to overcome this like cultural conditioning to get to a point where your work is only as good as what other people know you've done. Oh shit, fuck, it's not focused. No one cares if you're in focus.
This is full on Diana, not Dickhead Donovan.
Don't be silly, Donovan. You want some water?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, we're gonna do a quick round of preference for body parts. Okay.
Me to you first?
Okay, fine.
Eyes or mouth?
Eyes.
Eyes. Arms or legs?
Legs for girls, arms for guys.
Yeah, same, okay.
Same, okay. Boobs or ass?
Ass.
Really? Really?
Well, I don't know, that just came out, but I guess maybe boobs.
No, I mean, that is, whatever is the first reaction is the reaction. Really?
What's yours? Why do you give your reaction?
Oh, what did I say?
Boobs or ass?
Ass on girls, boobs on men. Pecs on men.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Then you could, for girls too, okay, that's fine.
Dude, I don't have a thing for boobs on women at all.
Okay, fine, okay. Knees or elbows?
What? Neither? Fine, nostrils or ear holes?
Nostrils.
Okay, fine. Tongue or teeth?
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 Americans are obsessed about teeth, you know that.
Oh, you mean how good it looks? Okay. No, I'm like, obviously the tongue. Duh! Tongue, like which part of the body is more stimulating?
Oh, I thought it was just like...
Okay, fine. Outside of the body, we have other things too, right? Okay. Beach or mountain?
Mountain.
Beach.
Outer space or inside the earth?
Obviously inside the earth.
Outer space. Fourth dimension or third dimension?
Doesn't fourth dimension exist when you're in third dimension?
Well, time is a dimension, but
Oh,
I mean
that's
the
right.
fourth spatial dimension.
Yes, what is a hypercube? A hypercube is a three-dimensional cube in fourth-dimensional space. I need to first apologize to our group of friends who tolerated Donovan talking about hypercubes for like 4 hours
4 hours.
in Hawaii.
Probably like 40 minutes.
We're in the car with like 2 other engineers, and Donovan's like, oh, do you guys enjoy like multi-dimensional math? They're like, yeah. 2 hours in,
Was it 2 hours?
we're like, shut up. I mean, they're super cute. Actually, Kiki is so cute right now. Sebastian is such a good boy. It makes me very sad to think that maybe,
That's it.
like, if that's all the babies I'll have, I'll actually be pretty sad. But then again, I'm like, I don't want to go through being pregnant, recovering postpartum, like recovery, breastfeeding. I don't want to do any of that. So I don't know. Somebody asked about how we manage finances.
You know, pretty much you run the finances at home.
The end. Moving on. So we both started our careers in like very typical white collar jobs, right? So we both earned salaries, but the difference being that I worked in finance, whereas he worked in tech, right? So, and then later on I switched to be an entrepreneur, and then I was a stay-at-home mom, and then now I'm an entrepreneur again. So in terms of cash flow and income, I've always been less stable than Donovan. But in terms of a financial mindset, you know, making money off of passive income, I've been very, very aware of it from the very first moment we started working. Actually, I don't know if you know this, but there was a time when I was working for Disney and I just had too much time on my hands. I literally did our life plan, like an Excel spreadsheet life plan year by year. And then now, Donovan continues to earn the main part of the cash. I've always known the power of what our assets can generate for us. So actually, this is something that we used to argue about all the time, because Donovan always felt like he had to make a lot of money, like cash flow wise. Then I'm just always like, you can actually kind of chill the fuck out, because even if you don't do that much, I think we'll be reasonably okay. Like maybe if you don't work ever again, maybe you can't spend on frivolous shit. Which we do occasionally. But then if you decide that those frivolous shits are not that important to you anyways, and the value of your own time and freedom and life experiences are more important to you, then you can actually offer a much lower income life and live a more fulfilled life, as long as you plan it properly in passive investments. And by passive investments, I mean putting money in like equities, bond, commodities, hedge funds, real estate, whatever, right? Like that should be a long episode by itself. So let me know if you guys want to hear about that. How we handle long distance relationships.
Well, this was the longest period of long distance that we've ever done, almost 2 years apart. But we have been together for 16 years before that. We have like 2 kids, so we're pretty tight together, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's pretty hard. I mean, it's single but not available, right?
Were you bombarded by options? Is that the...
No, I just mean single, like you don't really have the day-to-day of a relationship. Like you don't see each other at the end of every day. At some level you have to create a life which doesn't have that person in it. It's very difficult to do. It's almost impossible to do unless there's a very set time limit on it.
There's a question. How do you take care of things when you're apart?
Take care of what things?
Natural human urges.
Like pooping?
Oh, yeah, that too. I don't think you need me around. Yeah, the not safe for work stuff.
Yeah, you know, like take care of it. And I guess we had a few sessions of, over WhatsApp, not over WeChat.
Oh, you mean like virtual sex? Oh, it was not a few. There was like 1 session in our two sessions.
No, we've had a few.
Oh, really? Because you marked on your calendar like, today I got lucky. Is that it? How often do you take care of yourself?
It depends on how like stressed I was. I was working a lot, like once a week or something.
You're like, that's not a lot. My a lot is like 3 times a day.
I mean, that would be a lot.
That was-
I think as I gotten older, sex drive's gone down in general. I think they say men's testosterone peaks at like late 20s or something.
30如狼. Basically saying that women's sex drive goes up with age and men's sex drive goes down with age. And there's this magical number where they sort of like intersect. It's supposed to be now. It sort of is now because both our sex drive is 0.
Oh.
So we're perfectly in sync. It's great. People have asked us why we call each other pandas.
Because the female panda is in heat for 48 hours every year.
Were you never approached by any girls in China?
Well, I mean, a lot of girls approached me, but mostly it was just like, oh my god, 你是酷妈别人的老公吗？你是多哥吗？
I have a lot of 眼线 in China actually. First time you had sex with him. That's a good one actually. I can tell the story.
Sure, yeah.
Mom, please don't watch this. So I had this uncle who like always gave these like life advice. So when I first got, attached to Donovan, that winter break I came back to Singapore and he was like, oh, you have a boyfriend. You should have some condoms ready just in case. So because he said that, we were like, okay, let's go buy some condoms. And then the night we bought some condoms, this was like, what, 2 months after we met, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
That night I was like, let's open it. So just have a look. Never seen the inside of a pack of condoms. Okay, I opened that. And then I was like, oh, let's open the pack. And you're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, don't worry. We'll just have a look. After I opened it, I was like, oh, let's put it on. But it was horrible. Not that you were horrible. It was just very, very painful for me. Because you're too big.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, it was really painful. And then you actually had a French roommate. Pretty sure the guy thought someone was dying that night. And then we like never did it again for like another 6 months maybe. Yeah, so that's our first time experience. Some things I wish people told me about sex. I don't know. Use lube.
What about who you choose to do it with?
Just hypothetically, yeah, like
Okay, go ahead with your
don't be hurt. From a feelings perspective, it will be best if you had sex with an experienced guy, right? Because it's like
unless he just used you and then left. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but it's like somebody else already trained that dude for you.
Yes,
Whereas for us, we kind of have to like train each other up.
that's true.
When Donovan and you have a conflict, who usually compromises? I usually compromise.
Oh, interesting.
Obviously, Donovan compromises. Does that bother you actually?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Somebody was asking, are we really okay about having an open relationship?
I don't think so.
No? I thought that we just talked about this recently and you're like, oh,
you
you'll
can
be
go.
fine.
You can go. I just don't mean like, I don't think you'd be open on. I don't
Oh.
think it'd be open on.
Oh, so you're like giving me a carte blanche?
Yeah, some other girls. Yeah.
Some other girls?
Yeah, if it was some other guy, then I think we should be fair.
yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I just don't think that would really realistically work.
So you're just being very generous when it's with another girl, but you're like, hell no if it's with another guy.
That's not like-
Damn it. I mean, not damn it.
Well, I don't know
No,
what
I just
you're
mean,
trying to say.
I just mean in my previous episodes, I talked about how like we were like pretty open about this stuff.
We are pretty open. I think that's a reasonable.
From a hypothetical point of view, neither of us think is necessarily morally wrong.
Wrong if you're doing it behind the other person's back. If you're both okay with it, more okay. When I say I don't think it would work out, the inevitable jealousy, comparisons, and I can honestly just barely even handle one woman at this point. Like, you know, just like.
You just don't think that realistically you'll be mature enough to handle it.
I don't know if it's about maturity or not, because maturity implies that like that's like a higher plane of being or something.
Do you think it's possible though for people to really do it without being actually jealous?
Of course, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Do we know of anybody who's able to do that?
No, but I'm just saying, like, I can imagine it happening, like, in the future. Like, all of our sexual norms right now are so far off from even our parents' sexual norms. Okay, let's just take a simple example, right? Like, growing up in New York, you're surrounded by people hooking up all the time to the point where it doesn't seem like it's a really big deal anymore. At
That's
least
true.
for my parents, maybe probably your parents, that just seems like
Absolutely
utterly inconceivable.
ridiculous, yes.
Yeah, that seems morally
Yes.
extremely wrong.
Now
Or my dad back in the day was like, you know, we did have this awkward chat when I was in high school. He was like, masturbation is wrong. So I'm just saying sexual norms change very quickly.
Yep.
But I think it's also very important to just be self-aware of the sexual norms you were raised with. It's very, very difficult to break with your own conditioning.
So you think that some point in the near future, maybe within our kids' generation,
We've
that
talked about this many times before.
I'm trying to bring this to the
Yeah.
freaking audience. I do think that maybe the institution of marriage is completely breaking down, as you've already, like, you can already see it happening in like Western Europe.
I mean, like in Sweden, for example, I worked at Spotify for a while, and well, it really started with my French roommate at IBM, right? I just noticed this growing trend among a lot of Western Europeans, where they never marry but just have kids as boyfriend and girlfriend.
A lot of like social institutions that replaces the family unit as a
Yes.
security net.
And
right?
you know, I read a lot of sci-fi, especially sci-fi from the 60s and 70s in the US. They're all about alternate sexual mores. Like one of the top sci-fi novels of all time is one called Moon is a Harsh Mistress, right? It won the Hugo Award, I think. Robert Heinlein, right? The guy who wrote Starship Troopers. And it's all about group marriages, like you know, 4 guys, 6 girls. There's another one called The Forever War, which was also a Hugo Award winner. Back when people were really worried about overpopulation. So it's about this hypothetical world government that outlawed heterosexuals and cured heterosexuals and made everyone homosexual. That's always left a super deep impression on me. On some level, is that any more unnatural than anything we were raised with, right?
Like we definitely evolved to be more tribal in our thinking, or needing closer knit communities than what modern life is providing us.
My point is, today we already live very unnatural lives, so on some level.
Yes, that's true, but you would think that human sexual attraction is one of the... Oh, okay, I was gonna say one of the hardest things to change, but actually that's not true either. There's a lot of things associated with like social norms, right? Like, okay, so funny thing, when I was going to Parsons in New York, like fashion school, 99% of the guys were gay. But the truth is, I don't think they're all gay. I think there was a lot of pressure within the fashion community
Pretend to be gay?
for guys who pretend to be gay. Because if you're a straight guy in fashion, you honestly don't get anywhere. And being a gay guy in fashion is such a huge advantage that you would be stupid not to take advantage of it, you know, so you would at least pretend to be gay. Well, yeah, I guess the latest development is just that Donovan's decided to stay for now in Singapore, so we can start to plan some travels.
I said to stay with you guys. If we go back to China, I want to bring you guys back, right?
But what is our favorite city in the world?
We like New York, I think, when we were there.
Do you still like New York?
I don't know, it's pretty grungy now.
I think my memory of New York was always like the place that made me who I am today. You know, there's an energy about the place, how all dreams are possible, nobody ever judges you for doing anything, like nothing's too weird. And at the same time, you're surrounded by so much talent. The best of finance, fashion. The energy of the place just makes you feel like if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Concrete jungle where dreams are made of. Brand new. What do we think of Singapore? That's also one of the questions.
It's safe, you know, central to Asia, travel to most places. Bilingual for Chinese and English, it's pretty international.
To be honest, the whole time I was growing up in Singapore, I never felt that I belonged here. That is not to say that I don't love the city. I love the country. I love how well planned it is.
You are Singaporean.
I am Singaporean, and I feel like if you've left Singapore and if you've seen enough countries, you really appreciate what the Singapore government has done. You know, I know there's like growing dissent amongst younger generation Singaporeans, feeling like maybe there's rising inequality and there's too much pressure. But to be honest, like, go to China, go to Hong Kong, where prices are so expensive. Go to the US where like healthcare is basically unaffordable for most people and you have to have a job just to keep your healthcare. Like, you see so much problems with countries around the world that every time I come back to Singapore, I'm just like, this place fucking got its shit together, you know?
But if you never left, you would never know.
Like, my advice for anyone is not just to travel, like not like as a tourist travel, but like if you have the opportunity, work outside of the country that you grew up in.
No, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't do that till much later.
Yeah. Or go to school somewhere else. And that's not just for the rich, you know, like I think, so for example, a lot of countries in Western Europe actually offer like free university, even for foreign students. Move out of your home. Even if it's more comfortable and cheaper to stay at home with your parents, just moving out is gonna change your view and actually really force you to grow up. And then secondly is if you have opportunity to move out of Singapore for even short periods of time, just so that you can really see another perspective of life, realize that the things that you cared a lot about in Singapore actually maybe don't mean all that much. You know, maybe what school you went to, like what area of Singapore you lived in. What's the biggest lesson you've learned from knowing very rich people?
I think in many ways, their personalities and their wants and their desires are not really different from any other normal person.
Absolutely.
And honestly, a lot of it is it's really just being in the right place at the right time too. I mean, of course, you need to work hard, be prepared, be ready if the right phone call or the right opportunity comes, right? But I think my biggest thing was to not be jealous of them, not be envious. Because a lot of times, like, look, it could be you or it could not be you, but it's not necessarily.
It's not really up to you.
It's not really up to you.
You can use your own merit, talent, and hard work to get to a certain level of income, but beyond this certain level, let's call it like $300,000. Anything above that, if you want to be a billionaire, that is certainly luck.
Or inheritance.
I mean, inheritance is luck too, right? Is you don't choose where you're born into. And I think you really realize money doesn't make people happy. It really doesn't. The richest people we know are no more woke. They're still bothered by the same types of comparison. If you're looking for happiness in life, it's not necessarily to make more money. It's to actually read more and then to think more about philosophies of life.
Does that make you happier?
I don't read as much as you, but I read a lot more than the average person. Donovan just thinks that if I don't think as much as him, then I must be a shallow thinker. No, I'm a deep thinker.
No, I didn't say that. No, I said
No, I like to think about something and figure out what I can do with that thinking and information. Whereas I think you just like to think. Love just spending hours in these like loop cycles of thinking. Me tired. Okay, I think we're done.
Alright, this is the start of a new series.
Bath time talks?
Bath talks? Bath time duo.
Yeah, maybe it's the beginning of a new session called Bathtub Talks.
Maybe,
I don't know.
people like it,
Yeah, except that.
It's broken from the time, yeah.
Really uncomfortable.
Why do you go to the front? Why do you go? Because I'm like, oh!
No, let's just see how much you love this.
This idea is scratched unless we.
No, come on, is that okay?
Okay. Well, we should totally do this. Oh, this is so much better.
Really?
Yeah, this is like that scene from what is it? Pretty Woman. Leg therapy, where she wrapped her legs around Richard Gere. Except, I mean, I don't have long legs,
I
but.
don't remember that.